no. I'm trying a new... Okay. I believe we are live. I believe. Possibly. Maybe. It looks live to me. Yeah, okay. So... Right. Well, this is interesting. This is really interesting because I've never done this before. Right. Let's see. Okay. I've got a weird setup now. My apologies. Hi, hi Alexander. How are you, mate? There we are. Okay, this seems to be somewhat better. It's really confusing me at the moment, I must admit, because I am trying a little bit of a different streaming software. So my apologies, especially for the last one. Just trying to work out quite how everything fits together. It's not very easy. So yeah, so hopefully you're all doing well. I'm still trying to quite work out how this whole thing works, which is really confusing me. I would usually do this sort of stuff off camera, obviously. However, that's just not being possible right now. Okay, so hi Gabriel, hi Sam. How are you guys? Hope you're doing well. Tell you what, I'm just gonna jump on Instagram and just share this. Just let people know that we're obviously live. It's obviously something a lot of people look forward to. So, hi Gabriel, hi Sam. How are you guys? Wow, there's quite a delay on this as well. It turns out, which is weird. Okay, so obviously, if you've seen today's video, it's been a rather annoying season so far. We've had good things and we've had bad things. We've had a mix of both. Rather annoying for the most part. I guess, red polls. I've had quite a few people ask me for red polls prior, and obviously I'm not going to be able to supply that demand. It's a shame, and obviously I was hoping to have plenty for, myself to pick through, and unless we have a really nice sort of end of the breeding season, I think we're going to end up with probably a very, very low number, which is going to be very frustrating. Hi Ollie, what's your thoughts on strange breeding season results? Many fans are experiencing this season. Obviously, Rob, it's annoying, and I think what you have to look at it through is that if so many people are experiencing the same sort of thing, there's there's something that's common between all the birds, which is therefore changing the birds are not being able to get on as well. So I think a massive part of it is the weather. The weather is something that the birds are all generally experiencing. We're generally all getting the same sort of weather. It's been relatively inconsistent and it's been relatively crap, to be honest. So very frustrating. And I think we've just kind of got to roll with it, and hopefully, next season will be better, and that comes with more sort of constant weather. I think, could we have our sheds in sort of closed environments, and control our heat, control our light, control our temperature, control all of those variables that are affecting the birds, I think we would all be experiencing a much better breeding season, and we can make them much better, so we almost constantly have these relatively better breeding seasons. But unless you've got a large amount of money that you're willing to put in, trying to control those sort of aspects is very difficult and almost impossible. So rather annoying, rather frustrating as well. But you know what, we're rolling with it, and we've just got to get on with it, and hopefully everything comes out all right. Hi, Oliver, you got any spare matches to burn my shed down? Steve, it's not that bad, I hope, is it? Surely. Hi, Canary lad. It's got to be something we can't see. Yeah, well, that's it, Steve. It's, we can't all have done something wrong in terms of our conditioning methods and our sort of, husbandry methods and what have you. Especially considering it's stuff like I've not changed anything that I've done this year compared to previous years. Yet this year has been absolutely shocking compared to previous years. And it's not saying that obviously sometimes it might have a different effect on different birds, but generally it's going to be rather annoying. And we're not, we're going to experience those things. So, yeah, very annoying. And I think we've just kind of got to roll with it. Try and make the best out of this season. If we can breed some good stuff, we can, and if we can't, we can't, and we've just got to wait. The annoying thing is that if everyone's experiencing the same sort of bad breeding season, it means that the number of surplus birds is going to be rather low, and therefore more people get into the hobby is going to be lower because they can't get the birds, and also trying to bring new birds in with an ageing population of birds in our bird rooms is going to be very annoying. It's like, look at it with my red poles. I've got 9 pairs, all of which are going to be a year older next year. Now, I'm not going to be keeping all 9 pairs, but we've bred 4 youngsters so far, so we need to make sure that next year we're getting a good number out. Very frustrating. Hi, Trevor. Nice to have you on the stream, mate. Gabriel, totally insane. How did you find out you had something going on with your crossbill greenie? What do you mean, Gabriel? So I had a friend who got this bird, if that's what you mean. I actually had this bird. So I'm just quickly sharing this 1 second. There we are. So I had this friend who had this bird. I've had the bird throughout the winter while he was rebuilding his shed. So I was like, I'm happy to do that for him. And we ended up where I'd said to him as he picked them up, look, if you want to get rid of that bird at any point, give me a shout. I'd love it. And obviously it's a bit of something different, and it's a lovely bird anyway. So he gave me a call about 2 weeks ago, said it was ready. So I went and picked it up last Friday. Literally went, as soon as he got home from work, right, I'll go. So I went and picked it up. And yeah, they're getting on all right, but I know it's a late bred bird. I know it was bred in August because I think the guy who originally bred it put it in put a load of crossbills in some flights. He didn't even know this nest was built or this chick until he saw this chick on the sticks, and he was like, "Well, that's a different chick." So, yeah, and I think he tried breeding parrot crossbills and tried breeding 2 bards, didn't breed any of them or something, and then ended up breeding a crossbred. So that's to my understanding how it happened. We'll just see if we can breed anything off it. Across Europe has the same results. Yeah, exactly. That's it, Gary. I think you've got to look at it in the situation where everyone's experienced the same thing. Therefore, there's got to be some common factor that's affecting all the birds the same, and that you have to put down to weather. It's the only thing that is going to be common across them. Unless there's some sort of coronavirus of birds that has managed to go around the whole of Europe and affect all of our breeding seasons, which is rather unlikely, then it's a very different situation. That's right, first round last year, 39 off 6 pairs of red poles. This year, 6 pairs, 5 on the sticks, headbanging stuff, mate. Exactly, Stephen. Absolutely so frustrating with them, I remember, I think my first year of red poles, the first round I got like 4, second round I got 4, third round I got 4. I got 12 chicks on the sticks from a single pair. But now, I've got 4 from 2 pairs the whole breeding season. It's the most frustrating thing. So we're just going to have to roll with it, and we're just going to have to try his best and see how we get on. Hi, Rich. Nice to have you on the stream, mate. You've got to be experienced. Yeah, exactly, mate. 5G. Well, I mean, I don't think there's much truth to that personally, Steve, but I get what you mean. Although the only thing I would say is that last breeding season 5G also existed. So yeah, I presume you're joking, mate. How's the Hawfinches doing? They're okay, to be honest. It's been quiet, so it's been annoying with them. Obviously, we want them to breed. After I took the eggs away, the hen was not, she was quite unsettled for a few days, which is to be expected, let's be honest. Bear with, I'm just keep sharing this on different places. So, yeah, it's one of those where you kind of, well, I don't know. I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with them, you know what I mean? So it's like the Hawfinches have built a nest, laid 2 eggs, both clear. I expected it. And now, after putting the cock bird back in, taking him out and then putting him back in so it gives her a rest, she's just not seemed bothered. So I'm probably going to take the nest site, sort of clear it out, and give her a whole fresh thing. And maybe given a fresh, she'll rebuild and do stuff. If she does, that's brilliant. And if she doesn't, she doesn't, you know. And we'll just have to see what happens. I think that's all we can do, and that's the best we can do, is just see what happens. I'm giving her obviously live food and what, but it doesn't seem to be making much of a difference. So yeah, first year breeding canaries, was going to give up thinking it was only me having a bad time, but looks like we're all having a bad season. Yeah, exactly, mate. Please don't give up. We need more people in the hobby anyway. But yeah, it's been a particularly bad year, and I do worry that with novices. Hence why I'm trying to stress, with people who have just got into the hobby and this is their first season. Everyone's experiencing the same things. Right now, it's rather unlikely that you're doing something wrong if you're having a bad breeding season and it's your first time with birds and trying to breed them, because everyone's having a bad season. And yeah, so please keep at it, and hopefully, all going well, it should be better next year. I think to be fair, we are probably due a decent breeding season. It does seem that, last year was particularly good to my understanding, but I've heard of better years where most people have had stuff click and have produced quite a lot, and quite good quality as well. I'm clutching at straws. Exactly, Steve. I am, mate. It's at that point where I'm now looking at birds thinking, you're not going to breed, so I might throw it in the young bird shed, let it molt out and what, and just no point in continuing giving it all the egg food and giving it all that stuff if it's not going to be any use. And there's other birds where I'm thinking I might try, throw that in a flight and just see how it does, and if it picks up and does all right, brilliant, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. I've even been looking now, I'm thinking, well, them red pollcogs, the hens aren't going to nest, so I'm half tempted to look at a couple of the canary hens I've got and thinking, do I just chuck a couple of red poll mule pairs together or something and just see if we can produce something before the end of the season? Because right now I've bred no mules or hybrids. I've got a full egg from a red poll bully 2 months ago, and that was it. So yeah, obviously they're particularly hard things to breed, but yeah. Egg eating's been a problem, but not enough full eggs. Yeah, Rob, I've found the exact same thing, mate. I've had birds where they've produced full eggs in a clutch, but then it's been like, let's say they have 5 eggs, 2 have been clear, 3 have been full. Don't make sense to me. Really weird, especially when I've bred off them, let's say they're on the 3rd round now and I've had full eggs before. Really weird. It's like a pair of harlequins are doing that. Very confusing. Same with bullfinches. I think all my native bullfinches have eaten eggs this year. Makes no sense at all. Really frustrating. I've even had a red poll or 2 eating eggs, and I'm like, that's a hen that's like 2 or 3 years old. What are you doing? So it's difficult and it's very frustrating. I think we've just got to get on with it. You know what I mean? And hopefully, all going well. We'll see. We'll see what happens. If we can get anything else from this season, and I'm just kind of hoping that next season we won't get this rather annoyingness with egg eating. I can't see anything more I can do. I'm adding eggshell to their diet. I'm giving them calcium. I'm making sure that I'm covering all bases, so there's no reason for them to eat an egg because they need something from it. And it just doesn't make sense. And it's hens as well. Some hens, not bullies, but other ones that have never eaten an egg before, and then suddenly this year have eaten eggs. So I don't know. I think a lot of it is probably the weather changing. So they've eaten the eggs and then they've gone back down. It's weird. Hi, only Matthew, 2 egg, 8 Opal, mosaic hens from Aviary, same stock as you, muling with a goldfinch. Had a miserable time, clear eggs dead in shell, 1 hen is feeding, 2 forward, and the other 6 delayed. Fantastic, Matthew, well done, mate. Best of luck with them. I hope, I hope these are reared for you. It'd be great if they are. It'd be nice to see some good results coming out of this season. It's I've had a fairly good year with the canaries. I must admit, breeding some Norwich is great. I'm really pleased with that. And to say we use them as feeders, the canaries have been relatively good, and been doing a good job for us and doing what we want to do with them. So I've got youngsters from most of them, but they're the only thing that has been good. Greenies had a really rough start. Not, I don't know if they were not fit enough, not in condition or what, but I think my first round from 2 or 3 of the greenie pairs of the 5 were all clear. Second round, it ended up where we had 2 or 3 full, but now it seems to have sorted itself out and they're getting on relatively well. I've set the last rounds now of 3 of the hens, 1 today and 2 5 days ago. So that's going to be the last 3 rounds there. There's another hen that's the one who eats the chicks. She's going to go down again. I think she's laid 2 eggs in the last day or so. If I can put them under a canary, I will, to save them, and if I can't, I'm going to have to leave them and just hope she might try and feed them. But that's all I can do. Honestly, you have a lot going on with so many birds. Yeah, you're not kidding, Gabriel. This is it, mate. Where I've been looking now and thinking, right, we've got quite a few birds now, and I ended up with more than I anticipated. We've had everything I planned on having this sort of before the breeding season. Once we ended up bringing all those canaries in, it kind of threw me off because I'd got these birds that I'd not planned on having, and we ended up with like 3 or 4 more pairs of canaries, which wasn't planned. And then we ended up with 2 or 3, 2 pairs of Norwich which weren't planned. So we ended up with 6, 7 pairs of birds, all of which shouldn't have happened, weren't in my plans. Now I thankfully got the room and I managed to get those cages, but we've got way too much for exactly what I'm after now. So I know that next year, obviously one of the reasons we do these monthly lives is for spoilers. So I'll give you some spoilers. We've got 9 pairs of red poles this year. I'm going to cut that down to probably, I think realistically 6. I think that's a good number, so I can have mainly all normals and then a pair or 2 of mutations just for the fun of that and experimenting. So I think we're going to be cutting down red poles to 6 pairs, and it's going to stay at 6 pairs. It's not going any further. And with that, I think the cages I've got them in at the moment are fine, and we've successfully bred in them now for definitely last year. But now this year we have relatively successfully bred in them. The birds have been comfortable. They have been getting on. It's just been a relatively bad year for breeding them. However, I am looking at, we need probably some bigger cages that will just help keep them that bit more fit, dividers and what have you. So red poles, I'm going to be cutting down and making sure all the normals that we have are quality birds for the show bench, and that's what we're going to put focus into with the red poles, bar 1 or 2 pairs. Twice, are going to replace some of the red poles. So I won't be having 9 pairs, like I said, next year, like I've got this year, till we're 6. Therefore, let's say there's room for maybe 3 or 4 pairs of twice. So that looks at 10 pairs of these small finches. Now, that's probably enough for those guys. Then I'm thinking, right, well, I'll probably have a pair of Norwich or 2 just for the fun. We'll have some canaries as feeders. But then, cutting down, maybe I'll end up going down to 4 pairs of red poles. So then I'm looking at other birds. What could we get? What's exciting, interesting, something we haven't had before? Now, I have thought I've never successfully bred brambles and got them to the sticks. Chaffies and got them to the sticks. I've got them hatch. I've got them to ringing, but I didn't get them to the sticks, which was a shame. About 3 seasons ago, I think. So maybe we revisit chaffies or try brambles. I would like to do some South American siskins. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to be doing a load of them, but I would like to try maybe 2 pairs, and I'm thinking maybe a pair of red siskins and a pair of black siskins. I don't know if I can get the black siskins for a price that I'm happy to pay. Let's be honest, they are very expensive, and I'll have a limit on them where I'm just going to go, well, I'm sorry, I won't pay that, and we just won't get them then. I'm happy to go without if they're too expensive, but I think red siskins next year we'll try, and I'm going to try and get a pair of black siskins as well or something. I would like to do a red siskin mule, so I'll look to bring in maybe 2 males and a female of the red siskin. hybrid pairs and mule pairs. We need to do more mule pairs, that's for sure. We went all out on bully hybrids and this year, and obviously we haven't got anything yet. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be trying them, so I'm going to keep a red poll bully pair, the one that made a full egg, and I'm going to keep a Greenfinch bullfinch pair. So we're going to have those two as bully pairs. I'm thinking next year we need to try Greenfinch mules based on the fact that I've got quality Greenfinches that I've yet to try and breed a greenie mule with. So let's try greenie mule, which is generally an easier one. So that's 3. Red poll mule is probably a good shout, but I'm going to look to see if I could do goldie mule with something. And then I was thinking trying a hybrid that doesn't involve bullfinch. So that's why I've got the crossbill in. So probably greenie crossbill. Or I'm thinking we could try, I don't know, maybe try siskin red poll again. It's a rather easy one. I bred a couple of them last year, but obviously lost them when they're about 10 days old from some bloody fireworks. So yeah, that's the plan for next year, and I'm gonna make sure we cut down, we make it easier for ourselves, and we add that bit more variety rather than a load of one species. And if you have a bad year with one species, you end up with very little to come from it. So yeah, I need to make sure it's all right. I've only had one reedling on sticks and had to hand rear it. Now the pair are down 6 full eggs here and there, till about 12 days, then stop. But maybe it's because of last year's birds. Possibly, Rich. That's one of the things that I've been looking at this year, is a lot of the red poll hens that have not reared successfully. Not all of them, but about 3 or 4 of them have all been young hens, and I have to take that into account, is that these have not got the experience, and especially when they've gone down late, like one of the normal pairs had that we just had in this week's episode. I don't know if there's time for another round for them if they're happy, so it's really difficult. I hope we get some full. I hope she goes back down full eggs and she rears them, but I don't know if it's going to happen. So I have got to take that into account as young hens, but I'm going to keep some old hens that have proven for us, to make sure that I've got that option, whether it needs them as a feeder or just have something else to try and breed it off. So yeah, they're getting plenty of live food, fruit fly, pinkies, small crickets, and whatever else. They can still stop feeding in 12 days. That's what's so confusing, Rich. That's what happened with a pair of razzers I had. We had a couple. Yeah, we had razzers under them and we had Irish under them. They had 5 chicks, all doing well, 10 days old, stopped feeding completely. When the weather clicked, just like turned bad, boom, click, and that was it, done. Really frustrating. Stopped feeding them, and it was a young pair. Now, they've gone through now, and they've got one chick that's in, just jumped the nest today, and they've got the twite chick, and they've done all right. So I'm, touch wood, all going well, we shouldn't lose them. But it does seem to be that, and I am wondering if it is the weather as well, Rich. So a combination of inexperienced hens and weather is just a nightmare. Aren't they for the bench? Recently just found a group. Really hard to find where I'm from. Holly, I love your channel, learn a lot, thank you. Yeah, no problem, Mary, but thank you. Greeny red siskin would be great. Yeah, I have thought of that one. Only fins, that's brilliant. Yeah, I think it would be a nice. I'll tell you what, I'm going to have a look if there is one that's like being bred. I would like to see if there is, but I do think it would be a nice hybrid. However, that being said, I think there are sort of nicer hybrids that we could try with a red siskin. I think we need to use a red siskin for the use it with a red bird. Let me have a look on here, by the way. So if we can, I think you want to use a red siskin with a red base bird that's going to pick up that red. Obviously, I know some people use red siskin and have tried it with bully, and I think that would be the most amazing hybrid. However, I don't think they've ever produced full eggs, therefore it's unlikely. I would like to try. I did think of trying red siskin cross with a 2-barred, but the 2-barred crossbill, but I don't think that would work personally. I just found a photo here. Red siskin cross Euro Greenfinch. Interesting. interesting one. It looks like a giant red siskin, but obviously is a bit more diluted out on the back and has got the wing bars of a greenfinch. But it's still an interesting one. Maybe something we do look to try. I imagine it would be one of the easier to hybrids to have a go at, based on a greenfinch is relatively easy to breed, and what. But yeah, so yeah, we could try that. I do think red siskin mule would be something to look at, because we could then basically breed it back into canaries, or we could go the other way and we could breed a red siskin with I don't know, a yellow agate opal canary, breed it with that, get the cockbird that will be split for probably agate and opal, and then breed it back into red siskins, and then you could get the mutation into red siskins. We could do that. I'm just thinking of ways, because they are generally they produce fertile mules. We could have a mess about with it, or we could get a fertile red poll, a fertile red siskin mule, and put it with a red poll, or put it with something else and do like a tri-bred bird. Be interesting, just something different to try. Don't mention fireworks. Ollie, the game last night lost 2 more and dog ripped metal cages to bits. Bryn, that is awful, mate. I honestly, I don't get it, especially this time of year. Why ever there's fireworks being let off? But it's like, it cost me a couple of lovely hybrids last year, and I've been thinking that all year is like, watch me and get a red pole bully now in nest, and then someone will let a firework off. I'll have to go and fetch it as soon as I hear the firework, and like hand rear it, because I do not want to be losing something like that, or a Hawfinch. So yeah, how many types of siskin are there? I've seen red, yellow, and few others. I think like a blue, but one of the most common and rare in the UK. There are so many siskins, a lot of them being South American. So there's red siskin, which I think is the only red type, the only red-based siskin in the world. But then you go to stuff like, so there's European siskin, pine siskin. The American Goldfinch is also a siskin. You've got sort of black-hooded, black siskins, yellow siskin. Oh, there's so many of them. I'm not fully up to scratch with them, because they're not something I've gone into much. But I'd love to try them, especially like, a pair of black siskin and a pair of reds. I think definitely a pair of reds. Maybe we'll look at black, or maybe we'll look at some like yellow hooded, but something good fun, something different to try that's sort of similar to a native bird. Can I join the Natives Norwich Facebook group? Yeah, absolutely, mate. Gabriel, please do, and send the request through, mate, and I'll get on there for you. I don't understand why making mules white, goldy, cross, canary, opal, you don't see the opal factor in the youngsters. I think it's because you have to have unless you can get an opal canary, and my understanding is that opal is recessive, I believe. I think opal is recessive in canaries, so you would have to have the same sort of opal section in the same sort of opal gene in a goldfinch, and put that over a canary that's also opal, and that's the only way that you can get them. And I don't believe there's any opal goldfinches. I mean, I could be wrong, because I know there's that many types of Siberian goldies now, but it is one of those things. But yeah, I know. I think it's John, isn't it? Having a look at some of your greenfinches earlier. They are amazing. I'd love to see some of those ones they've malted out. Like, have a look, and I'm actually thinking, if you want to get in contact with us, so Facebook or Instagram, or drop me an email, please get in contact, and I'd love to try and do maybe an episode on these sort of new greeny mutations. Obviously there's something rather unusual, not many people know about them. I mean, I didn't know about some of them until you'd said this morning, and I'd love to see more, so please get in contact. But are they all the same family of siskin, the South American, the EU siskin? To my understanding, no. They are. Okay. I think they're all in the same. They're all in the same family, but then they all divide out. And I think the European siskin is a lot further out than are a lot of them. So these are the American siskins, which is, American Goldfinch, red siskin, black siskin, yellow siskin, black-hooded siskin, all of those types. They're all sort of one bit, and then it goes out another way, which is sort of European siskin, pine siskin, and a couple of the other ones. And it's just geographical more than anything, where these species have developed closely related, with the like European being a hell of a lot more distant. Oliver, why don't you do an experiment on artificial insemination for a video, but just for the video it's kind of taboo, I'm against it, like only canary to canary. That's an option. I had thought about doing that, and I might look to do that next year as a sort of an experiment. My issue is there is quite a number of people who are against the idea of using artificial insemination. And if I'm, I don't have a kit right now, but if I'm seen, and I do a video on that, people will automatically assume that I use it for everything, that I cheat, by doing it. Let's say the same year I do that video, I breed a red pole bully, or I breed a crossbill bully, or something like that. People would just automatically assume, oh, he's bred it, using the artificial insemination, and I just wouldn't want that to get me a bad name. Is one of the things, and I just wouldn't want to wind too many people up. But I like the idea, and it is something that I'm going to consider. Also, the kits for me to get the kit and use it for one video, it's rather expensive. Is the only problem. I have to check, but I think it's over $100, and I can't remember how much that is in pounds, but it's still quite a bit. So it's one of those where unless I had like £100 spare, it's one of those where I'm not going to be able to do that for a while unless I've got some issue and real reason to get one. I think there's an idea that you could get one and use it for checking on the health of your birds, the reproductive health, but it's also one you're going to be careful with, and I don't know. Sorry, excuse me. I'll have to leave that there, and it's something maybe we'll look at in the future, but probably not right now. Maybe next breeding season. We'll see where we're at. Yeah, all the American siskins, European siskins are family. All parents given F1 birds because the European siskin mutation, having the red-hooded mutation also. So that's it. I'm from Blackhead Siskin, Pastel Siskin, F1 against the Canary, crossbred knife, my first Jasper Canary born in Spain. Oh, right, I didn't know about that. Yeah, exactly. So, I know they're all relatively closely related. However, I think to my understanding, the European Siskin is further out in the Pine Siskin than are, a lot of the South American ones. But I know that a lot of them can be fertile together. And I believe that, I want to say that the Serin is in that group. Or, I know Serin is Serinus, and the Siskin is Spinus. But I believe they're also very, very close. And with them being a very close bird, I believe that Siskins crossed with Serins are also fertile. I know that Serin cross canaries are generally fertile, so there's something there. But it'll be interesting. This is why I'd like a pair of South American Siskins, is because we can try this stuff and see what we get. Great, after the live, I'll send my request. Yeah, no problem, thank you, please do. And I'll accept you onto the group. Nice to know about Siskins, their fertility. Yeah, it's good. Okay, will the Opal not show in the muley I've done? Agate Opal, yellow mosaic, because normal gold in Matthew. No, it won't, mate. So Opal is, because Opal is a recessive gene, it wouldn't show anyway unless you had. Yeah, there we are. Opal is recessive. So Opal, because it's a recessive gene, you have to have it in both the parents in order to produce Opal youngsters. Now, if you did it with something that's sex-linked, like agate, and you did like a male canary to a female goldfinch, you would get female agate goldfinch mules. So you'd have to go sex-linked to get it with just in one parent, but in recessive, you have to have it in both sides. So yeah, you would only get normals, but they would be split Opal, but obviously that's not really any use to them because they're generally infertile. It's kind of like a cheat, but you are right, people say bad things. Yeah, exactly, that's the problem, is that if I go and do that as an experiment, I could get a bad name for it, and people would suddenly not want to buy my birds, claiming them to be, artificial inseminated. Not all that. I don't really want to go down that that route unless absolutely necessary, and then still, maybe I think it's a thing of the future, but it's not accepted right now. Therefore, I don't think it's worth me trying it at the moment. Okay, Oh, OnlyFins. I didn't realise you were Elliot. Sorry, mate. I not even realised. That's a brilliant name. I presume you've got that from Joey Mullen, so King of DIY. Opal's recessive mutation, that will say Opal's cross split Opal will give 50% Opal cockbirds and hens, 50% normal split Opal. So yeah, exactly. That's it. It's recessive. So red cap Serin cross siskin may work, possibly. So I would love I would love to get some red fronted Serins. I think they are amazing, but I've never seen them in the UK. So unless anyone knows of them in the UK, let me know, please. But as far as I'm aware, there's none of them in the UK. I've spoke to numerous people, all of which have said I've never seen them, and what have you. So unless you know someone who has the red-fronted Serin, please put me in contact with them. Otherwise, it might be one of those we have to import from Europe, which is an absolute nightmare. But I would love to try it. I think red-fronted Serins. You know, I imagine there could be something in there with how the lizard began. I don't know, but it's very similar to a lizard canary, both markings and obviously the crest. Any tips for making up egg food for Irish fancies, mate? Currently making up an egg food and mashing it up with some biscuit. So, to be honest, so Adam, I've put a video out. It was about 18 months ago, so it was about last February or March, I would say. And that's got my whole recipe on it. So you need your egg food base. So you got your dry mix. I then blend up peas, spinach, carrots. I also add a bit of an apple now, and some garlic. Put that in there, blend it up, put it in and mix it up in there. I also had a couple of supplements in there, so just a bit of protein powder just to increase the protein index, a bit of calcium in there for the growth of bones, a little bit of vitamins in there just for a bit of an added extra, and I do put some black spot medication in there just to stay on top of it. So that's my advice. That's what I use anyway, and it works rather well. Yeah, but then take a mutation, siskin hen. Best is an agate or silver, or Isabel hen. All cocks will be split, but then back on red hood siskins again. Yeah, exactly. So that's one of my ideas, that we could try something with that. You know, we get a red siskin, use a canary that's visually opal, get splits, and then we'll have to probably breed red siskin mule together for a year to get visual opals, put it back to red siskin and go like that. I'm not too sure, but it's just an option. It's just something to mess about with, is breeding that, and I think it's something we can all learn from and something we can all enjoy as well. I was with mates when chose that name. Stop watch Joe Mullen a few years ago, shortly after he came to UK. Meet him, interesting guy to meet. Fair enough. I'm going to say I've not met Joey, but obviously I do watch quite a few of his videos, even though he does fish tanks and I do birds. Yeah, I think I told you earlier, didn't I? So we used to have a marine fish tank. That does remind me, actually, I've got something to show you in a second. We had a marine fish tank. We've closed it down recently, but we're looking at restarting it back up, and I'm looking at doing it as like a native biotope. So setting up a tank, doing sort of a native sort of scape to the UK, and adding some native fish in there. It's not a massive tank, don't get me wrong, and it's mainly my brother's project. However, we was talking about putting some like stickleback in there and minnows, or we could try it as a bit of a grow out tank for fry of like carp and things. Anyway, that reminds me, I bought some new filming equipment. Nothing in there that is too like super duper, but some good stuff nevertheless. So I've brought a GoPro. Now, I've never had one of these before. I've got the Hero 3 Plus. I know there's like GoPro, something like 9 or 10. And I know there's obviously very expensive, very good ones. But I'm just not willing to pay a stupid amount of money right now for one, because I don't understand them much. But either way, I bought a GoPro. We've got some underwater casing on it. I've got a floating handle as well. So that's really ideal, and I can also control it from my phone. So I can like turn it on from my phone. I can live stream it from my phone, do all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, so that's something that's going to be quite fun to have. So I can have that. You know, we can put it up in a flight perhaps, and get some good footage of the birds, especially sort of out of the breeding season, and we can mess about with it, put it in different places and stuff. But obviously, with it being waterproof, it does mean that if we do anything with sort of underwater scaping, so if we do anything with fish, I'm going on holiday this summer at some point. So I'm going to take this. I'm diving, one of these sort of reefs, and I'm going to take this, film an episode there, looking at a load of marine fish and all that. So yeah, so I've got a GoPro. And it's going to be quite good fun to have. It comes with loads of accessories. So I've got sort of like a head mount for it. I've got various lenses. I've got like a deep water lens. But yeah, either way, it's really good. Nice piece of equipment for us to have and do some different things on. So yeah, should be good. I make the same egg food with all the birds. 12 hard-boiled eggs, 15 biscuits, soaked seed, fat, tablespoon, tutti frutti, Versalaga, Pinky's a big kind of food feed. That's what for all birds. Yeah, I'm going to say that's quite a nice mix. That, to be fair. So yeah, I recommend you try something like that. I'm always really cautious with pinkies because I've heard so many good stories with them where they're brilliant, but then also heard so many bad ones where people are like, oh yeah, it kills the birds if they get botulism. So it's something I really do stay away from, and I try and just use like buffaloes, mini mealworms and stuff. I add crushed freeze-dried mealworms to the egg food. Would that be enough protein? Yeah, I think that should be okay. I add protein powder. You can buy expensive protein powders and stuff. However, you can just get protein powder relatively cheap for humans that works the exact same, and it's almost the exact same stuff. So that's one of those things where I would suggest you use protein powder as another thing to mix in there. It's just going to increase that protein index, more amino acids, going to help the birds grow faster. I always thought that, but red siskin cross goldie would be beautiful, like drop dead amazing. Yeah, I've seen a photo of one of these. I've also seen red siskin cross red poll. That's an amazing hybrid, but apparently they're quite hard to do. Let me try and get you a photo of the red siskin goldfinch. Yeah, a guy put it up on Natives in Norwich about 18 months ago, and there's not really. Okay, so this is an example, but it's rather crap. So that's a red siskin goldie, but I don't think it's a very good one. I saw one, and it's just like absolutely like bouncing bright red. I can't find it right now. Let me try and get the red pole one. Either way, absolutely beautiful hybrid, and hence a reason I really want to get one. Here we are. This is one that I found, and this is something I've always wanted to try. However, I don't quite know what mutation it is, but to my understanding, that looks like a brown pastel version. So it's a brown pastel red pole crossed with it probably is a brown pastel or some sort of pastel red siskin. But that's like amazing. I would love one like that. So it's something I need to try out. How are they enjoying your live chat? Just say hello for myself, David Birdroom. Keep up the good work. Hopefully get a chance to meet up someday. All the best, David. Thank you very much, Dave. Hopefully enjoying the episodes and keep up the good work anyway. I don't get a chance to watch many of your videos, but I always do go and take a look, drop you a like on them and stuff. So yeah, keep it up, Dave. And yeah, thank you very much for joining the stream. If you need any advice on the fish tank you're setting up, message me, as I've got my own fish room. Things have kept many cool water tanks. Yeah, no problem. Thanks, mate. It's one of them where I'm not new to fish. I've kept fish, or various fish from being relatively young. First pets was a fish tank. I had various tanks since then. But it's one of those where I've always been interested in birds, so that's hence why we do a lot more with birds. But I don't have a tank at the moment, but we're looking at setting up something like that. Mealworms are very bad stuff. Then they can give you better ant-eggs, spiders, or crickets. Or from wild insects, best way. Mealworm skin bad for the youngsters, their stomach. Oh right, okay. I didn't know about that. I knew you had to be careful with them if they're too hard, but I didn't know about that. So thank you for letting us know. I'll bear that in mind. That red pulse siskin was amazing. Yeah, it is. Honestly, I love that hybrid. It's the only one I've seen that colour, and it's just brilliant. I imagine it was literally brown siskin with a brown pastel red pulp by the look of that hybrid. Looks like Bully with a Siberian Goldie. Yeah, I agree with you. That first one did. That's another hybrid I want to try. I need to try more stuff with goldfinches, because we've only ever had, well, we had a trio of Sibes and 2 native cockbirds, but I'm just, like I always say this, I'm always so careful with goldfinches, because there's so many people who catch them nowadays and what have you, and they're illegitimate, wild caught birds. This is why I stay away from them. So unless we get a pair of Sibes in, I've got to be very careful with any natives I get in. So yeah, can we post some photos in this chat? I'm not sure if you can. If you have the option to, please do. However, I can't guarantee you can. If not, send them across to me, and I can like try and whack them up on screen for you. Obviously, I'm trying this new sort of streaming setup, and I haven't tried it before, so I don't quite know how this appears on camera. But let's have a look.
Obviously, I'm trying this new.
Oh yeah, it's okay actually. Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, to be fair. So I'm trying a new streaming thing, and I've never tried it before, so hopefully you do like it. Trying to just do a few different bits and what have you. Just by the way, guys, if you can all drop a like on this, it'd be really useful. It just helps more people get to see it and obviously enjoy it. So if you wouldn't mind just hitting a like on it, really appreciate that. That's a shame with the goldies. Yeah, that's it, mate. I'm happy to try them again. It's just I need to get them from someone I trust, and there's not that many people I know who have them, hence why I don't have many or any at the moment. I got a friend who puts them up earlier, but I haven't got the room. I've got too many as it is birds right now. I don't have room for them, so we'll just have to leave it for this. Obviously this year anyway, maybe next year. But again, I need to get this new bird room sorted. I've been looking into it and seeing what I can do with a lot of things, but it's difficult, I'm trying to do my best with it. I'm planning it out now. I've got some cages for it, obviously, which you're seeing at the moment, and I'm looking at building some now, or getting some built. I need some larger cages. I've decided that these cages I've got are fine, but if bigger cages is always better. So I think my idea is going to be, if I can build some cages that measure approximately 2 by 2 and have dividers between them, it's going to be an 8-foot or 10-foot block across the back wall, so we can have 4 or 5 and we can split them up and stuff. And I just think the extra height and extra length is just going to make a real big difference. Make them a bit deeper, maybe 18-inch deep, and there's just so much more room that we can whack a load of extra sort of stuff on there. Stuff in there. It gives us other options. It means that we could probably even do other mules and hybrids in there rather than in flies. So yeah, no lie, the Goldfinch pair I had to get a new male. Yeah, so that's it. Another thing, and I guess it is with any bird, but you can get those pairs that are just completely incompatible, and therefore it just doesn't work. So yeah, that's another thing, is that goldies aren't afraid to die. They will happily die. Without any given warning, so you can quite easily lose them. So yeah, another reason it puts me off having them. I've always loved the Goldie. One of my all-time favourite birds. Used to have loads in the old garden. They love sunflower hearts. Yeah, Goldies are always on WhatsApp groups, but guess they're not all legit. Yeah, well that's it exactly. I see so many of them put up on sites, but it's just clear. But a lot of people, they'll take a photo like Goldie, needing new postcode, and they're holding its legs, and it's to show that there's no ring on it. And it's just like, I'm not buying that bird. And I've had people offer like, Ollie, I'll do you a good price for some goldfinches. And I'm like, no, but you're doing a good price because you're catching them, and I don't want them. I that's the last thing I want. So I just leave it. Never ever buy a goldfinch at a show, unless it's Siberian Goldie, which you're all right with. Like, or someone and they're well trusted, I stay away from it. Do not get them from a show unless you know someone, because it's just so likely that they're dodgy. I'm 27, to be honest, man. You're inspiring with the amount of info you've learned me, mate. Thanks for all the content. Yeah, you're welcome, Adam. No problem, mate. Just all sharing it, just enjoying it. And obviously, I talk to a lot of people, so I do get quite a lot of information through my way. So I always, want to share it with people, help people, and get more people into this hobby. Obviously, generally, it's good fun. It is being very taxing at the moment, very frustrating, and we've just got to roll with it and hopefully get on all right. I have lots of greenies I've bred white. I have lots of greenies I've bred. I bred with about 15 to 18 hens and 7 cocks this year. I've from 2 rounds, 107 youngsters in, all lots of special mutations. Yeah, I read your comment earlier. That's fantastic. I mean, obviously you've got three, almost 4 times the number of hens I've got, and I've bred about. I think I just separated another 3 off today. I think I've got 14 greenies at the moment, with multiple more coming out. So, yeah, So that's a really good result. You've clearly had a fantastic season. Some of those mutations you've got are just superb. These yellow beaks, never even heard of them until you'd said earlier. Cobalts I didn't know existed. Blues I didn't know existed. So absolutely brilliant. I presume that the blue could be the start of white greenfinches in that case. Obviously blue in canaries is white over green. So could, in greenfinches, is your blue white over green? And if you put it into sort of a pied, you could start getting these white ones and eventually get clear whites. That would be interesting. That would be good. Really thinking about the red poles. I mean, look, red poles are great. They're just they've been very, very frustrating this year. You'd probably say 7 out of 10 seasons you're going to have a good time with red poles, but you're going to have a couple of bad seasons in there, just absolute stinkers. So, they're a good bird. It was commented on a video on this morning's video about never having success with them in cage, and this guy had always bred them in flights. Well, I've had the opposite, where I tried to breed them in flights 4 or 5 years ago when I first started out with them, and they were just too sort of flighty and too wappy. It was really difficult with them, I noticed that now. I've got a red pollen with a bully, and it's just crazy, and I could never quite get them to settle in a flight. One of the problems is with flights as well, is having them in flights which have an open front, is that they go onto the mesh, and then a sparrowhawk or predator can get them, because they generally cling onto the mesh a lot. So it's very frustrating with red poles. That's why I breed them in cages, because I've generally had better results with them. Goldie's good pair breeding, lots of youngsters, but lots of breeders do stupid things. They take feeder canaries and then you become bad goldies like black spot, megalobacterium, more. Yeah, I know. So that's one of the things I've heard a lot with Siberians. Not always, but a lot of people get these, get these Siberian goldies and use them as battery hens. So let's say they might lay 6 to 8 clutches a year. Don't sit on them, but they'll put them, they'll have 40 youngsters from one pair, because they just underfeeders, and that's what a lot of it is. And obviously it does come with bad things, is if the canaries aren't clear of stuff, it can have the opposite effect. However, was bad that your red poles wouldn't feed properly in the past. I've tried putting their eggs less as under canary hens, didn't work, although they will rear and hatch red pole chicks. Yeah, so it's really difficult. I've only ever reared one red pole under canaries, past, got it to ringing, and that was this year, which sadly we did lose the other day. It was the Razzers. I found that the red poles generally are just too small, that a canary won't rear them, because their beaks are too big. There's too much of a size difference. And I found that the Razzers were the best with the smallest beaks. I think that Razzers or Irish will be the way to go with rearing red poles under canaries, but I prefer to just rear them under red poles because they're so much easier. If only red poles in the nest, not mixed chicks. Can you put some mutation greenie pictures up, please? Seen pie, but not a lot else. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I have to find some. So Natasha has on his site, go on there, on his YouTube, and he's got some brilliant ones. Now, a lot of them are obviously young birds at the moment, the recent videos, but it's like there's some Fayos on there. I saw Fayos first time at the All British this year. Unreal, absolutely unreal, lovely birds. Never seen Fayos prior to that. Never put them under canaries. I have clear yellow and clear white greenies. You have white greenfinch. Please send me, Natasha. Can you send me an email? So oc.aviary@gmail.com. Would you attach some of the photos, please? I would love to see. I didn't know that there was. I didn't even know white greenfinches existed. I knew that some clear yellows did through pieds, unless this is a different mutation. But I didn't know whites existed. Please email me some across. I'd love to see them. Thank you. Without us here, I wouldn't know anything about the greenfinches. Yeah, no problem at all. I'm really happy with them. Oh, very good. I'm glad you are. I'm looking at doing some species profiles over the next few weeks. I mentioned in this week's episode about cutting down now on the number of episodes of Breeding British Birds, simply because with it being a bit quieter, I don't want the episodes to be boring. I'd rather be a bit more interesting, a bit more going off. So I'm going to do this week, sort of this one on Saturday coming up, and then we'll leave it a week or two and then do another episode. And I think that will be better, and that there'll be more to update you all on, a lot more exciting, more interesting episodes. Therefore, what I'm going to do is get a couple of videos out that are a bit different. So I'm going to do species profiles. So I'm going to do the first one on greenfinches, and we're going to talk about different types, how to breed greenfinches, generally keeping them through my experiences. Then we'll do one on redpolls. Obviously this year's been awful for them, but there's still stuff to say with them of what I've learnt about them. And then we'll try a couple of other things. So we could try bullies. I've had mixed results with bullies over the years. I think canaries is a due one, because so many people keep canaries and a lot of people start out with them and don't quite know what to do. I think that would be quite useful for people. Here we are. In contact. Yeah. Detach. Is it Natasha or John? Either way, mate. Please, email us. Give us a shout. I'd love to see some of these. Get in contact and we'll work something out. Because I would love to see some of the a white greenfinch I didn't even know existed. That is really special. Jeez, I get so many dodgy emails now. Obviously, I put I put my email there for people to access. Whether if you don't have social media, you can access me via email, or what have you. But I get so many junk emails now from just random things like, "Oh, you've won 50 million USD," and I'm like, yeah, bugger off. No, I've not. So yeah, it's difficult. Hence, one of the reasons I don't get I don't always answer a lot of the emails. I try to, but some do slip through the net. So yeah. Well, Jesus Christ. Yeah, we're up to 50 views. So guys, again, if you wouldn't mind, please like the video. I'd really appreciate it. It just helps get it out to more people, if you wouldn't mind. So yeah, so it's going to be this autumn that we get the new bird shed done, the new bird room. That should be good for you, I hope. So we're going to make a couple of episodes on that. It's one of those I want to do a couple of episodes on, because it's not, this is not a small project. It's going to involve taking down the old sort of flights and all that, moving some of it over so we can keep the room, depending on how many birds we have at that time and that point. And there's a lot to do with it. So I'm looking at now, over the summer, I'm going to finalise some details up, and get a bit more information, on the shed and exactly how I want it to be. So it's going to be like a really good bird room is the plan. Also, just a bit of information on merch. I'm currently looking into trying to do it again. Sadly, the original supplier did let me down, and then I've had a few weeks of just not getting back from other people, which is very frustrating. So yeah, so please, Bear with me on that, but I'm going to get some more stuff out, and I'm telling you now, like, some of the designs are really good. Like, I really like them, and it's one of those, what I don't want to do is just do some merch now. Like, the original merch launch we did, which was a little small thing, was just a logo, and there was a Bullfinch and a Norwich on there, and it was just a little bit of something fun. A couple of people had asked me for my shirts, but now I want to make sure that if I am doing any merch, shirts, jumpers and stuff, that this is going to be stuff that people want to buy and wear, not just stuff that people are buying to try and support the channel or anything. You know what I mean? This is something that you're going to go, I actually really like that, and you're going to wear, you're going to wear it, and it's something that you're happy with and going to use rather than something like that. So, I want to make sure it's something that's good. So, bear with me on it, and it will be worth your wait, I promise. Obviously I've mentioned the GoPro. That should be really good fun. I'm looking at trying to get a new camera. So I'll show you the camera. This is the camera I use at the moment. It's a Lumix camera, right? And I think the details are here. Yeah, it won't mean anything to you. Anyway, so I got this Lumix camera. This is the one I use to film most of the birds. And it's generally good quality. It's like a bridge camera, but I'm looking at now, could I try and get some other type of camera, some quality camera that's going to get you those really, good quality, high definition photos and videos. Better shutter speed, because this one, when like a lot of the time, is very frustrating, and we miss really good shots because the bird moves just after I've clicked the camera, to take photo and what. So yeah, and I'm just looking at doing other things like that, trying to interact more on social media, hence what I'm doing a lot with my Instagram, and especially Instagram story now, just make it a bit more interesting. So today I put out a story on OC Aviary asking what's your go-to meal deal. So if you want to put that in the comments on here, you can, but just a bit of fun like that, and just interacting with people, so it's a lot more enjoyable and what have you. Oh, for crying out loud. Brilliant. How to look like a complete idiot on my own channel on a live. I've just accidentally spilt my water down me. Oh well. Oh well, yeah. When's the Greenie video coming out? So that will be next Saturday. So not this Saturday coming, the following Saturday. And also with that is we've done a bit of a sort of re-emergence of the Zoom room. So obviously the Natives Norwich Zoom room was something we started in lockdown, and through that really bad COVID period, people weren't be able to get out to the shows. They weren't able to see a lot of the birdmen they would have done. Therefore, by having the Zoom room, it was able to spread more information, have chats with people who a lot of people would talk to at shows and what that now they couldn't. And obviously, it's just been one of those that the top content hasn't quite gone in that direction recently. And with all of that, more people are just going back to shows now, talking what. But we've done one now, so this is with Joe Daly. I think that's how you say it anyway. So Joe is an Irish guy. He is, I want to say, chairman of the IMBBS. So this is a well-respected guy, birdman. So we've done an episode with him now. I'm not going to release it in one whole thing. I'm going to do it in several parts. So we're going to do, there's a part of that is pre-filmed. I've done it now. The first will be coming on Tuesday on Bullfinch hybrids and Bullfinch mules. Then we'll do, we've got a part on yellowhammers and breeding yellowhammers and buntings. And then we've got a part on brambles. And there's also a little bit of a part on mules there. So there's a good 3 or 4 weeks worth of content on there. It'll be coming like every Tuesday. It spaces it out, and it's also a good bit of fun, good bit more information for you to all use, and hopefully find it useful and come up with your plans for your next breeding season. So something useful for you there, and that'll be over the next few weeks, starting this Tuesday, which I need to sort of get sorted tomorrow. But yeah, so to be breeding British birds coming this Saturday coming. The next one will be breeding Greenfinches, and the next one will be either canaries or red pulse. To be honest, I'm rather tempted to go with breeding canaries based on the fact that we've had relatively good success this year. This year has been awful with red poles. So yeah, I must say that that young Dwight is doing brilliant, by the way. Absolutely fantastic. You know, it's better than the one that the Twites reared. It's a lot more. It seems a lot more bright. At this at this point in development, with it being about 14 days old, it seems a hell of a lot more brighter and active than did the other one. The other one seemed a little bit scraggy. You know, it's all right now, but the baby Twite we've got at the moment looks brilliant. You should be drinking beer. Good excuse to spill some. You know, that's a very good point. The only problem is, and I'll probably get a lot slated for this, I don't drink alcohol at all. I just don't enjoy the taste of it. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not drinking that. But you're not wrong. You weren't to know, Mark, so don't worry. But yeah, you're not kidding. I'm on whiskey. Nice one, Elliot. To be fair, I think a lot of people must turn to drinking with this time. You know, this breeding season. What a nightmare. I think most people have already sort of called the end of the season off. You know, we've just gone, right, I'm not doing this. You know, chucked them all in flights, let them molt out early. I'm happy to keep it on and stuff, keep it going for a bit, try and get a couple more birds out. It just means a couple more bits to look at for next year, a couple bits to work with, and a few bits more available for people. It just helps cover sort of feed costs and what have you, and all the costs associated with that. So yeah, helps. Can you do a video on how to get a show quality photo? How to get a show quality photo of the finches? So, Elliot, what quite do you mean? So, getting like a quality photo of the finches, like, or do you mean like the ideal standard for a finch? Is that what you mean? Laughing, yeah. Well, I presume you're laughing at the I don't drink part, Gabriel. Yeah. So, Jesus Christ. Yeah. It's been a really difficult season, hasn't it? You know, and we've just got to get on with it. Hopefully, everything will come all right next year. Thank you very much, Gabriel. So I'm thinking for next year. Then, obviously, we're going to be trying a pair of Hawfinches. Now, we're not going to get anything with that cockbird. You know, the hen I think will bond to another cockbird, providing they get on well, but they don't. So I'm going to look to see if I can loan a cockbird out, or maybe even swap one, and just try a different cockbird. I think that's the way to go. The hen's clearly quite comfortable, around humans anyway. She seems to be getting on well, and I think she's the bird that we need to win over. I think the cockbird is fine. He just needs to go to a different hen because they clearly don't get along. So we're going to have to try that. So we'll try the pair of Hawfinches, of course. I'm going to keep them until they die. But, you know, there are obviously a very, very frustrating pair and hard work pair, especially this season. But it'll be alright. Yeah, it'll be okay. I'm trying to think of a couple other things I need to say on this. Obviously, if you have the Cage and Aviary, I've been in the Cage and Aviary this week, just my general sort of monthly article. I need to get my next one done, ideally in the next few days, to get that out for sort of the end of the month, start of August. But yeah, you know, a few interesting bits. Hopefully you like this streaming idea as well. I'm slowly working on it. I just need to understand a bit more exactly about it. But obviously I've got this sort of, whatever you want to call it, frame around it. I just thought it makes it look a bit better, a little bit more professional. I'm going to see if I can hook my camera up to it and try and get a better quality photo. But I don't know that much about doing streaming and messing with cameras and stuff, so I'm gonna have to work that out. But yeah, that's that. Just trying to think of a couple other things, you know. Always keep sending your questions in, guys, if you wouldn't mind. Obviously, it's I enjoy answering your questions anyway. I'm just gonna have a look in case there's anything on Instagram. On that, you're thinking of me? Oh, hello, Canarium. Hi, Matt. Hope you're all right, mate. You're thinking of mulling with the Twites with a Norwich next year, mate? Yeah, actually, that's one of my thoughts, Matt. So, depending on how many we breed, I've got one obviously separated away, and I've got another one that's since jumped the nest recently. Now, that leaves us with two. I'm kind of hoping it's a cock and a hen, just because I can trade one of them with an unrelated bird to get another pair. However, the parents of them have got 3 eggs under them, a full out of 5. I just checked today. They're due like tomorrow or the day after. So if we can get a couple more out for this, what is going to be their last round, if we can get, let's say, 5 on the sticks, yes. So I'm probably going to need a decent quality Norwich. You know, I've got one that's on the sticks now, almost away, and I've got one in the nest about 3 days old. So I'm going to need a quality Norwich because I don't want to be trying to mule with something that's not up to standard. But yeah, I'd love to try twite mules, especially if I've got a nice yellow twite. Try it with that. If not, twite hybrid, but I don't know what I'd do. I'd thought of doing sort of, I could even try red poll twite. I love the cobalt hybrid Alan has, but obviously it's not going to do much on the show bench. Twite bully, I think, has been done once or twice. I'd like to try twite crossbill, but nightmare, isn't it? So yeah, Matt could do with a cock twite for muling next year. Well, I imagine that was what Matt was getting onto, but you know what, Matt? I will see what I can do for you, mate, of course. Don't worry. But we'll see. I'm going to have to see how I get on with this final round of them. But if I can get a couple of youngsters away, probably get another, a pair in from Alan or something, just for that mess, that mix up with blood or swap or something, I'll do my best I can to help you out and try and, sort you out with a quality twite for muling with. But it is one of those that I've got in mind for next year. If I have a spare cockbird or something, I'd like to try it. So yeah, I'll let you know. Nice to have you on the stream as well, Matt and Shane, of course. So yeah, I'd like to try twite with a crossbill, but I think I think there's better things. I've already asked Al. I know this is the thing. I'd love some twites from Alan. They are brilliant. But obviously, he's very particular about it, and I can't blame him because he's bred these birds and they're fantastic. But obviously, very difficult to get hold of. I imagine there's a huge waiting list for them. But I'm going to see what I can do. So I'll let you know, Matt. I'll keep you updated, mate. And if I can get a cockbird, I'll let you know. I don't know how old my pair is at the moment. Obviously, we've bred one, got it away, and another on the sticks. I know that I know my pair are both German rings, hence why it's not as easy to tell. They've got the German standard for rings because these birds were brought in. So I don't quite know. I think they're both 19, or maybe it's a 19 and a 20. But I don't know if we're going to have both of them for next season, so we'll have to have a look. Where are we? Clear perfect photo you'll see online, so hard to take, no bars are set up for that. Clear perfect photo you can see online. Okay, so you have to have photo cages for that, and that means you have to have some perspex over the front of your cage, so it's difficult. The old days, you look like Harry Maguire. That's not good. I actually had that. Someone told me that the other day. But this is the thing. I support Chesterfield, right, as my football club, and we and Lawrence Maguire, who's Harry Maguire's brother, plays for us. I was speaking to Loz yesterday because I bumped into him at the cinema. So I was speaking to Harry Maguire's brother yesterday at the cinema, and what? But yeah, so Harry is brought up not far from where I am. I'm not going to tell you exactly where, but Harry Maguire went to a school that is up the road, and is a local lad to me. But yeah, I'm not related to Harry Maguire. It would be good if I was, in a sense that you can claim that. But yeah, so there you are. You're definitely not alone with the red polls, mate. I've got some nice ones, but nowhere near as many as I could or should have. The weather has definitely played a big part. Yeah, exactly, that's it, Ian. Very frustrating. I've seen you put the goldies up, mate. I would love them, but I don't have room. I'd love them, especially because I know you've bred off them as well, but I just don't have room for them. The youngsters, I wouldn't mind getting a... You know what, Ian, let me know, but if you've got a spare Goldfinch cock from which you've bred this year, give me a shout. Obviously after the molt. But yeah, red polls, so frustrating. I bred some twite mules from a 7-year-old cock a few years back, mate. I remember you on about this, Matt, when we was at Stafford. That I can't believe you bred. A 7-year-old twite cock. Anyway, I didn't think they were that longer-lived birds. I wasn't sure if that was one of those where it's like a bit of an odd one where you do get that odd bird that does live a lot longer. But yeah, That's class. That is, to be honest, Matt. I think the twites are, providing the cockbird's in good condition. I think they're going to be very similar to a canary in that they'll pretty much tread anything, and hence how you bred some from a 7-year-old cockbird. So that's great. And I'm going to look to try and breed a twite mule also next year. I was going to try this year with a cinnamon, a clear cinnamon fife hen I had. Because I was going to put the twites in a flight, but I ended up changing my mind once we got the Hawfinches and bred them in a cage instead. But yeah, I'm up for trying it. I've got a twite mule at the moment. It just needs colour feeding. It doesn't look great, so it looks more like a sparrow. So we need to get some colour feed on that. But well done, Matt, for sure. 7-year-old cockbird. That's class to get something from it. However, the linnet cock over the Crossbill will be a good-looking hybrid. The video on the Crossbill hybrid's fertile, hybrid's colour-fed. Yeah, you know what? That's one of the things that I've thought of is a linnet. I just need to source a linnet is the problem. I've been looking for like 2 years to try and get one to try and mule in with, and I've yet to find one person with a linnet cock. Who's got one to go. So it might be an option, that's for sure. However, I'm not sure with that, based on the fact that I've seen the Crossbill hen get on rather well with the Greenfinch, obviously, and I think she's going to be a bird that if I try with a Greenfinch, I think we'll get something out of her. If I try with something else, I think there's a hell of a lot lower chance. I think Greenfinch is the best option, hence why she's in with a greenie at the moment, and why I'm thinking of sticking with it. But I like your suggestion, Mark, and I think if I can try and get a linnet cock in, I will be doing, and maybe we run a linnet cock with her to begin with, and then if that doesn't work for whatever reason, we'll try a greenie cock, or maybe we put both with her over the winter and see what she pairs to, because she'll pair to one of them. I want to see what happens. But yeah, thanks for the suggestion. I do like the linnet crossbill. You just got to get a good coloured male. I'll tell you what I was thinking. I think I mentioned this in the video, is siskin, because of the siskin 2 board. But she was with a red poll this year, Amelia Red Poll, and apparently she got no interest whatsoever in him. And I was like, I wonder if it's because of the size difference. Because to be fair, she's a good sized bird from being half a 2 board, which is a smaller type of crossbill. She's massive. She's got the parrot genes in her. You can see that clearly. So I don't know if siskin would work as much as I would like to try it. There's nothing wrong with trying it, but I would rather try and get something from her. With me knowing she's in with the greenies rather than something else. This is one of those other things I thought. It's very difficult to try and source these birds, but I would like to try either greenie bramble or chaffy bramble, just because they're the chaffy bramble, to my understanding, is not a hard hybrid to produce, because the chaffy and the bramble are so closely related. You can actually get fertile offspring quite regular from them. But I don't know. You know what I mean? We'll just have to try it, possibly. And if I can get a bramble cock or hen in, I can get a chaffy cock or hen in, and can almost guarantee it, I will try it. But again, it's one of those, I need to get this new bird room sort of set up, know how I'm getting on, and if I can do all right getting this new bird room sorted, work out what I'm going to sort out, how many red polls we're going to have, how many twites we're going to have, then we'll have to leave it. Speak to Shani as both. I was thinking of doing, Matt, that's a good shout. The only thing is I was watching his video the other week, and I don't know if I remember correctly, he hasn't bred any brambles this year, and I thought we probably need 2 younger birds, but I'll have a chat with him, Matt. Thank you very much. However, Softbill's doing well. Yeah, fantastic, George. Hopefully you all enjoyed that episode. When we went to George's a few weeks ago, that was good fun. Obviously, there's not a lot of Softbills on information on there anyway. So, yeah, linnets will actually be going. Actually, Shane, drop me a message. I'd be interested in your linnets, so at least a male linnet, depending on how old they are and what. But I'd like to try it, because maybe I think that might be a shout, is trying a linnet with the crossbill and trying a greenie with that same crossbill and seeing if I can breed anything, because I think the linnet crossbill is a lovely hybrid. Apparently not too hard, because the linnets are relatively easy to breed hybrids from, or mules from. I think it'd be the same with the Goldfinch. I'd love to try Goldie crossbill, but apparently they're very difficult. I'm not too sure. I don't think many have been bred. That reminds me, I've got a really interesting bird to show you. So, the same chap, when I went to pick up my two-barred crossbill, is a good friend of mine. I've known him a good few years, and I was talking to him about, he got a, I tell you what, Shane. I'm not going to say the guy's name, but the guy had a crossbill cock 2 years ago from Mark. When I bought a couple of birds up from Mark, this chap had a crossbill come up with it. Now, he put that crossbill, because he didn't have a hen, with a mealy redpoll. 6 weeks later, he got 6 full eggs and all 6 hatched, so he had crossbill redpolls. Anyway, when I went up the other week, he showed me a bird in the nest, and I'm trying to find the photo of it now. I've got the photo, don't worry. Either way, he's got a crossbill redpoll in the nest. I saw it the other day. It were about 5 days old when I saw it, and it's just the most amazing hybrid. Yeah, I would love to see one in person. I've seen photos of them, and I think they look great. I can't find this photo. I literally took a photo of it. When's that? No, for crying out loud. Yeah, so either way, it bred a crossbill cock with a redpoll hen, mealy redpoll hen, and now I think she's on 3 more full eggs. I've put my name down for one of them, because I would love one, but I don't know how. Here we are. I don't know how willing he is to sell it. So that is a photo I took 5 days ago of a crossbill redpoll hybrid. It's a common crossbill cock with a redpoll hen. Fantastic. It's been reared by Razzers, and I think he's got 3 more full eggs. I'm going to try my absolute best to try and get one off him, but I've never seen one in person. I think they're quite unusual as well. So yeah, either way, fantastic. Just sent you a pic now. Got you, Shane. Let me have a look, mate. He sent me that same photo. So this is it at a couple more days old. Crossbill redpoll, absolutely stunning. I can't wait. I just hope it's a cockbird, because if it's a hen, it's like, oh, what a shame. You know what I mean? Because obviously you're going to always get that better colour in a cockbird than you would a hen. So yeah, either way, fantastic. I'm trying to get the pair off him, because he wants to separate them. He wants to put the crossbill cock with a crossbill hen I gave him last year. And I'm like, I will get you the pair. I will give you a bullfinch hen for the pair. I will give you a bullfinch hen and a crossbill cock for the pair. He will not sell. He will not move on the crossbill cock. But I'm desperately trying to barter with him to try and get this pair for next year. What goes wrong when the goldfinch hen throws out chicks immediately after birth? The cock is separated. Theo, that's a difficult question. There's a number of factors, and I would say that, one, the weather this year has just been awful. Therefore, it's thrown a lot of the birds off. But if it's a young hen, it's sometimes the inexperience. Is there any issue with mule of very different size, say Razor cross crossbill, as the eggs sizing may issue? So I thought this, and it was the crossbill cross redpoll proved me wrong. Apparently there is problems. It can happen, but I don't know. If you put something like a large finch cock over a small canary hen, to my understanding, the chick doesn't have enough room to grow in the egg, and therefore will die before it will die early on, or will die, be a dead in shell. Because if you say, right, so it's a crossbill, let's say you put a parrot crossbill to a razor, so you're probably putting the largest variant of crossbill and one of the largest finches that it'd be fertile with, to one of the smallest breeds of canary, you get an egg that's really far smaller than would be a crossbill egg. Therefore, the youngster can't grow enough, and you could end up losing it because of just simply the size difference. So that's one of them, is limiting growth. And another is depending on how else you breed it. So if you say you breed it the other way, so you got a razor cock with a parrot crossbill hen, there's a massive size difference, and it might not be as easy for the little cock bird to jump on and obviously mate successfully with the crossbill hen. So I think this is one of the reasons they are a harder thing to produce. Hence why you don't see many siskin crossbills, red poll crossbills and stuff like that, because of the size difference. Crossbill mules are relatively, they're getting more common now, but because they're bred with Norwich, I think if you tried crossbill mule with like a razor, very few would be then produced. Obviously, this is one of those, another one I want to try. I just need more room. I just need more room and more time, because it takes an awful lot of doing at the moment, especially with youngsters absolutely trashing places. You know what I mean? Like this young Norwich, the amount of shit that comes out of it, it's like, Jesus Christ, I have to clean them out like more often than I would normally with others. So yeah, I need to get another pair of Norwich, and I need to get a quality pair. The pair I've got at the moment, it's a full Norwich hen who's not very good quality, who's the ones who've bred for me, with a 3/4 white Norwich cock. So yeah, it's one of those where I'm looking and like, well, these are not going to be show quality birds, but they might be ideal for muling. So if we try it with like a red poll, or if we try it with something like a siskin, a smaller finch, it might produce a better hybrid and better mule, or easier to produce in that. But if we're doing anything like a Norwich, if we're doing a crossbill mule, a greeny mule, or something like that with a larger finch, we need to be using a Norwich. I'd love to try it. Yeah, Shane, I'll message you after this, mate, about the linnets. We'll see, depending on what you want to do. But I would be interested in the linnet cock especially, depending on how old it is. But yeah, I definitely need to do something with twice, definitely, because if I can try and get a couple more pairs of them, I'd love to try and really start something out with the twice, because I love them, and especially twite mule or twite hybrid would be great. Oliver, I put question on email. Theo, no problem, mate. I'll tell you what, I'll check the emails after this if that's all right, and I'll let you know. I think I might have checked it earlier just when I saw that and did see your email, so I'll get back to you soon. Don't worry. So it's I'm also been looking at doing different things with content, not massively, but like the other week, a bit of a testing video was the long-eared owl video, and I don't know what you all thought of that. I know it hasn't got as many views as all the rest of my videos because it is different. It's not caged birds, and obviously it's a different style. It's not like we're looking at wild goldfinches. So let me know what you think of that. But I am looking at I know up the road, not too far from me. Ow! I've just cracked my neck. Jesus Christ! I know up the road is a barn. When I say up the road, about 5 miles away, is a barn where there's some barn owls, and I went and watched them the other day. I got it on camera, but I just need to make a video on it. But I saw the female barn owl coming in for about 2 hours. Sorry, apologies. Saw the barn owl female coming in and out with voles, mice, I believe a rabbit once. And it was brilliant. I could hear the youngster screeching as well. So it's something, again, I'd be looking to film, is something like some barn owls or what, and just trying a few bits. Like I've said, when I do go abroad this summer, I've got my GoPro, and we've got this underwater thing, so that we can film the reef, and obviously it's fish, it's not birds, but nevertheless I think it would probably be something rather interesting, and seeing what I can do there. So yeah, and the mutations of twice, I believe there is, but there's nothing that's been established yet. I think there has been random ones produced, so I think there's been a pied produced, but I don't think it bred any pieds. I think there's been a cinnamon produced, possibly on the continent or what, and I think there's I think I've seen a pastel one, but you know, there's nothing established to my understanding in Twice, so yeah, nothing we could get at the moment. I'd rather make sure we've got our normals up to scratch and then we'll sort that. I think you need to try and breed a twite with the absolute closest relative, which I'm going to have to check, but I want to say a red poll. And if you did it something like a cinnamon, so if you did a cinnamon red poll cock to a twite hen and got a female, a cinnamon red poll twite hybrid hen, and try and breed off that, or a cockbird that's split for cinnamon, you could try and put that back in, as it might be rather, somewhat more likely to produce these, a colour variant. But to my understanding, there's nothing that's been yet sort of established. Red poll crossbill would be outstanding colour-fed cockbirds. I've bred red poll mules. Some have had bad deformities, crossbills, and others weren't able to fledge. Yeah, I've heard so many stories and bad stories about these hybrid, these mules. Hence why I haven't tried them yet. I think this probably the coming year is when I'm going to try them. Let me get a photo of a red poll crossbill. But yeah, where they have beak deformities, leg deformities. I've heard of wing deformities. So yeah, I don't think it's uncommon. Yeah, so there's a couple. There's not many examples, but like that. So that's a. Hold on, let me get my brightness up. So that's a red poll crossbill. That's a lovely hybrid. There's this one, which I think is like a better one. So that's red poll crossbill as well. And that is that's actually like the show quality photo, and that's another one. So there you are. That's 3 red poll crossbill hybrids. I think they're amazing, and I'm really keen to try them. But obviously, really difficult to try and breed. It's little John who met you at Newbury. Have a good season with my greenies. Oh, little John, fantastic. That's great. I'm really pleased for you, mate. How many have you bred this year? Well done. That's great. It's been a really bad year for breeding a lot of birds. So well done that you've had a good season. Any news on the rewilding video? So it's kind of gone to a bit of a standstill at the moment, because the guys who, if you know them, Celtic, Reptile and Amphibian, so I know these chaps, and I'm planning on doing a few bits with them, and we've been looking at doing these various rewilding opportunities. The problem is that they've been awfully busy recently, sort of doing the amphibian side and rewilding and what, so it's had to come to a bit of a standstill. We're hoping to reboot sort of this winter and what, but it's in the works, and I'm doing my best to try and get it going. It's like a group project, which I need people to we need multiple people to do, and obviously they have contacts for certain things and I have contacts for other things, so it's one of those where we've got to come together and put our heads together for this one. But it's coming, just on hold at the moment. Why not try Blackbird song, Touch a Feel Fair Blackbird? George, I'd be up for it, mate. I just need a big enough flight. You know what I mean? I'd like to try it, but I think I need to try a Finch hybrid first. But it's not off the books, George. I'm up for it. We'll just have to give it a go. We'd definitely like to see the video on the barn owls, mate. Yeah, no worries, Ian. It's one of those where I think it would be, quite good doing stuff like that. I've got a secret bird watching spot where not many people know about it, and there's bird feeders up there. So only people who care about birds, look after birds, and want to help birds, or photographers go up there. This is well out of the way of anyone who's gonna do anything bad. So birds are absolutely swarming the place. I need to put these photos up, but it's like the other day I was there for half an hour and saw a red start. I saw loads of goldies, loads of red polls, loads of siskins, a couple of greenies, stone chat, reed warbler, grasshopper warbler, loads and loads of stuff. And I'm looking at doing, I might do a couple of videos up there and taking a look. I put them on. Here we are. So yeah, that's a bird I saw the other day. So that's a siskin on the bird feeder up there, and it's just amazing. I love looking at the wild ones because they're a bit different. There's a lovely male Goldie there that was on the feeder as well that I've been watching. Male red poll. Another siskin there. Some cracking birds. Even got a young siskin on that feeder as well. So I'm gonna have to go up there and do some filming up there and do a couple of videos, sort of on that for you, because it would be interesting. It'd be great to see. What you guys all think of that. But yeah, really good. What about red poll greenie? You know what? I'm up for trying that hybrid. It's just one of those that is more bland to my understanding. I saw a hen at the shows this season, and it was, it kind of looked like a really buff, washed out young Greenfinch. So it wasn't very exciting. I don't know how much more there is in the males, but I think they look like a really crappy greeny bully with a shorter beak. So I don't know. You know what? I'm up for it, and I could still end up doing it this year. Depending on how things go, in the next few weeks, I might just try and chuck a couple more birds in flights and just see if we can get anything to click with them the last few weeks, and see if we can get any more birds off them. We could always see if we could get a greeny red poll, but maybe something we try next year. We'll see how much room I've got once I got the new bird room done, and I'm up for making these little random pairs for a bit of fun. Thank you, go to work. No problem, Theo. Have a good day at work. Thank you for joining the stream. I love redstart, but I can't find much keeping them other than what's in Birdcage Mag. Yeah, I don't really know anyone with red stars. It's difficult with them. I had black red stars, but that didn't go well. That didn't go well. So I'm, I'll try them again at some point, but I think they're a lot. It's a soft bill at the end of the day, and it's a rather increased cost because of all the the live food. They need more room, and I need to see how this new bird room turns out, because I need to make sure I can provide them with that room and plenty of it. It needs to be right, and I think that's one of the things that I'm going to have to make sure that I get right in this bird room is, now that I'm building something that's sort of specifically designed, let's make sure that we give them more than enough room, because I think that's one of the things what might really help make that difference with just all of the birds anyway, is just giving them a little bit more room, fitness, getting out of the way, each other's way and get them more comfortable. I was bird watching about a year ago and saw a pea-throat goldfinch. What about? I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, exactly. So I was in the Aviary 3 years ago, and this is when we had it. I think this is just before I converted it into several sections for flights, and I'm sorting out my cockatiels which were in there at the time. Look on the bird feeder, and there's a Chevrolet Goldfinch on there now. I didn't know what to think of it as much. I just saw a Goldfinch that had got this obviously white down from its throat, and I thought, that is amazing. That's super. And I didn't, I obviously didn't think much of it until, a year or so later, when I'd come a lot more exposed to these things, because I didn't know an awful lot about all these different things with goldies. I was like, that's unreal. I saw a Chevrolet Goldie, complete Chev, on there, in captivity, captive bred. They're like 800 quid, and there was one just sat on my feeder. Unreal, can't believe it. I figured that much. I kept trying to picture it. What about a pea-throat Goldie? Would be something different. Older. Yeah, Mark. It's another one. I'm up for trying a pea-throat Goldie or just trying to get one. The problem is the price, and it's one of those where they're stupidly priced generally, and I wouldn't be willing to pay it. That's what I mean. A pea throat is fine if I'm going to use it, but I would, it would have to go to a mule, for muling. because they're what it's for. You wouldn't do a hybrid with a pea throat or a chev really, because white on a hybrid is a fault like that. So yeah, I'd try a pea throat or a chev, but they're just so expensive that unless I can get one for a sensible price or what, and that I know is legit, I'd probably won't end up getting one. I was speaking to a guy at Newark, which I need some more information from, but he doesn't live too far from me and has a chev cock with a pea throat hen, and I think he said he bred off the pair last year, and he bred chevs and pea throats, and he wants to give me a chev cock if he can breed one. To try with hybrid, so I'm up for it. I'm just going to have to see what happens. But yeah, I'll see if I can get one. The hybrid, we could. I mean, okay, you could try it with a hybrid crossbill, but I don't. It would be a fault on the hybrid, hence why I probably would stay away from it. Ahmad, yeah, hi, mate. Thank you very much for joining the stream. So yeah, I mean, well, look, we're going to have to see. I keep saying this, but we're going to have to see how this new bird room turns out, how much room I've got. I'm going to be cutting back on the red poles. I know that for a fact, that 6 is probably the most number of pairs that I'm willing to have with the red poles next year, so I can concentrate more on my normals. I want to have a couple more whites, and then we'll try a few other bits. Like I said, red siskin we might have a look at, or black siskin. We'll try bullies again, native bullies, even though we obviously had nothing from them this year. And then there's going to be a number of mules and hybrids in there. Of course, we've got the greenies as well. Couple of canaries, so feeders, feeders sort of the new colour ones, and a couple of Norwich, maybe a pair or two of Norwich. I think that's realistic. I think a pair of Norwich, we've got the dark, so we've got the green and the cinnamon, and I think maybe a variegated and a light bird as well. So yeah. Is there a standard for every hybrid, and what happens when a new hybrid is produced? There's an overall standard for hybrids, to my understanding, Elliot. So it's a hybrid shouldn't have sort of areas of white or variegation on it. You have got to take into account, so if you are breeding something off a species that does, so a two-barred crossbill, that's taken into account. But it seems a fault, hence, because I've been on about this. I was like, if you tried a pea throat, a chev goldfinch with a pied greenfinch, that would make like really interesting hybrids. And it was like, yeah, but they would never do anything on the show bench because they're diluted and variegated down. So I think that's one of the things. And then you have to look at a lot of the standards for other birds, and you would kind of mishmash the two standards of the parents. So if you're doing, let's say, a greenfinch to a goldfinch, you're going to expect a large bird, well-shaped, cobby, big head on it. With the goldfinch, you're going to expect prominent wing bars because you combine it with a greenie. You're going to expect some sort of mask, and you're going to expect it to be steady. And it's kind of combining the two sort of things where. So yeah, I had a pie goldfinch on my feeds a few weeks back. I got a picture by the time I went to video, it flew off. Yeah, this is it, is that there's a lot of wild goldfinches that have these sort of things, because I think they're dominant mutations, so they do just spread about, and especially how goldfinches are nowadays, they're not a rare sight anymore. There's so many of them. I think there's probably almost more than there's ever been, by the sounds of it. So that's why they're becoming more common, is that there are mutation goldfinches cropping up because there's so many more that breed, and there's so many more of them. There's a higher chance of it. So there's there's chevs and peas that turn up. There is pieds, and then there's obviously the occasional older one that's like a you see a cinnamon or a dilute or an agate or something like that. They should make a white hybrid category. I think it might give that option. The problem is that, so you might say at a show variegated hybrid, but if you went let's say variegated greenfinch hybrid, variegated bullfinch hybrid, variegated red poll hybrid, you get like one entry in the class, and then you'd have to make a special for variegated hybrid, and it probably wouldn't, let's say there might be one bird entered in that class, so it's difficult. I think it's just one of those that you'd more breed it for fun and put it in and just expect it not to do anything, but just show it for the fun of it. That's what I do with a lot of them. The parrot crossbill, white-winged crossbill, the two-barred thing I've got, that's never really going to do anything in the show unless it's in its class on its own, or it's in a class with some really poor quality other crossbills. But I want to show it for the fact that it's fun, it's somewhat different, and we'll see how it does. And I think it'll also help it with just steadiness. It's relatively steady now, but getting a couple of birds out to shows, getting them a bit more used to people, it does make that little bit of a difference. Is that true from the pair in 2p throat Chevys that there's a possibility to get almost all white goldfinch? I've heard lots of stories but never seen a. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know enough about goldfinches to advise properly on that. I think it's somewhat likely in that if a Chevy is obviously got quite a bit of white on it and a P's got that. So I think the combination would be more likely, but I don't know. I don't know how much there would be in that. So possibly not. I'm not sure. I mean, I love the Siberian Goldies. Obviously, there's so many colours of them, but there's not in the native because of you don't want to crossbreed them. There's they're two very sort of distinct things now. There's a massive difference in them size. Apparently, natives sing like they do, and the Siberians don't. So yeah. Yeah, but we'll have to try and get some goldies in. I'd like to get a goldie in and try another goldie mule and do a quality pair this time with a yellow Norwich hen. We'll look at trying to get a linnet in possibly for that crossbill. I'd like to try a twite. So I think realistically, if let's say we set out for next year 5 mule and hybrid pairs, I think is realistic. I'm going to keep the red pole bully pair that produces a full egg, and I'm going to keep the greeny bully pair that seem to be getting on rather well. I think it's just a matter of time before we get a full egg. She's gone back down for probably what's going to be her last clutch. She's sat 2 days now, so I'm going to see, in let's say a week's time or just before sort of this coming episode of Breeding British Birds, if they're full. I think there's a good possibility there is, and if they are, brilliant, and if they're not, then we'll just have to try them again. But I think it's a pair with some hope. So there's a bully, 2 bully hybrid pairs there, so we'll probably cut it off at that for bully hybrid pairs. Then we've got, let's leave it at, let's say greeny or linnet crossbill, so that's 3. So that's 3 hybrid pairs. We need to do mules because they're easier than hybrids generally. So I think greeny mule, if we get a quality nice Greenfinch hen, Norwich hen in, or one that we could breed this year if we breed anything quality, it is an idea. So we could try greeny mule. I think red pole mule is another one to try. Maybe, because I know they have deformity problems, so we've got to be careful with that. So we might look at that. We'll see how we get on with how the red poles turn out this year. Obviously, we've only bred 4. Hopefully, we might get a few more before the end of the season, but I don't have much hope for it. I think Goldie Mule is definitely one. It's always nice having a Goldie Mule, especially trying to breed a quality one. I've only ever bred one, and it was a hen, buff hen. It was the worst one you can get. And Twite Mule, if we can, see how we get on with the Twites. If we've got a cock or 2 spare out, I might have a go with doing Twite Mule with them. That'd be really good fun. So yeah, I think that's realistic. 3 hybrid pairs, 2 mule pairs. If I can get a red siskin in, we might make it 6 and do another mule pair. I'm not sure, but yeah. I really want to see Serinus pair. The Serins. I haven't seen much on YouTube. I'm looking into Serins. I would like to get a pair. Like I say with everything. There's just not many in the UK, and I want to get a Serin cock because I want to try it with a canary or a siskin because I think both would be fertile. However, they're stupidly expensive, or at least more than I'd want to pay. And they're so unusual anyway in the UK that it would be like, it's not ideal, because you're wasting a bird that could be used to breed purebreds. It's like that with the twites, but if I can breed a number of them and keep a couple of pairs, I don't feel guilty doing it. Whereas I think if I had one Serin that's hard to get anyway and did mules with it, it wouldn't be right. You know what? Shane sent me a photo, probably getting on for 2 years ago, or maybe 18 months ago, of a Serin crossbill he had, and they are amazing. I would love to have a go. Trying to get one of those. They look awesome. They're like a bright gold almost crossbill. Really, I tell you what, I'll see if I can find the photo. But yeah, that's an amazing one. I agree, Serin would be good. Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the things was on about rewilding to begin with, is Serins, because they're so unusual in the UK, almost non-existent in the UK, that it'd be massive if you could try and reintroduce them. So that's what we're looking into. I can't find this photo. I know that I probably have one somewhere. Either way, I believe Shane had a Serin crossbill, awesome hybrid, and I will look more into that with Serins. Northern birds seem more available. Is it just because they're more popular or more bred in the EU? Is it just a random thing? They're easier bred, simple as that. You look at us with a native, so look at our native bullfinch pair this year, or just native bullfinches this year in general. We've had hens laying odd eggs, eating eggs have been a nightmare, yet we've got a Siberian bully hen who's constantly laying eggs of, clutches 5 or 6 and sits on them, and she will feed them, I think. So they're easier to breed in that sense. They're a lot more domestic, they're larger birds, they're more comfortable around people, so there's a lot of things like that. And it is the main side, it's just that they're more domesticated. I think the more mutations that are put into something, they're more further differentiated from the wild, so that's another thing with them. The Hawfinches are alright. They just, the hen after taking the eggs was a bit unsettled for a few days because obviously they were clear, and she's just not really bothered back since, so I don't know, she might not do anything. It also has a weird call, screechy, makes call mules. Yeah, I'd like to try them, because apparently the Serin is the closest relative to the canary, to my understanding, or one of the closest. So they do quite often produce fertile mules. I know there's a guy, in Greece, I want to say, who has bred Serin mules with like a satinet canary. Is getting cockbirds that are split for satinet, and he's managing to work it back into Serins to the point where I think he's now at something like R3, R4, which is like 4 or 5 generations in from that original canary. So he's getting like satinet Serins. So yeah, we'll have to have a look. That would be brilliant to try. I would love to see Hawfinch hybrid. I would too. They've never been done. I've been looking into it, and I think the realistic options for Hawfinch hybrids are Chaffinch, because it's one of the closest things to them. If we're talking about native birds, I think evening grosbeak is the best option, or Chinese grosbeak, or Chinese Hawfinch. So yeah, it would be great, but I can't. They're so difficult to breed straight that trying to breed a hybrid is just an extra more difficult thing, you know what I mean? Can you import Serins? Yeah, you can. I know a chap down south who can get them for me, but they're about $250 a pair, and unless it's something I'm really keen on getting, I wouldn't end up getting them, you know what I mean? I always look at it like this. It's like, what's it worth to me? And if I'm absolutely desperate for a pair of Serins and would love a pair of Serins, I'd look more into it. But if I'm getting a pair to have a bit of a mess about with, I'd rather get a pair that's maybe 2 or 3 years old than what you have. You know what I mean? Oh, have you said? Oh, brilliant! Cheers, Shane. I just seen you sent them across to me. Yeah, right. So, Serin Crossbill is awesome. Have you still got them, Shane? But yeah, so look at that. So that is a Serin cross with a crossbill. It looks amazing, absolutely amazing. I'd love to have a go with one. The hen doesn't look too exciting. The hen looks like a crossbill hen, to be fair, but it's the cockbird that looks awesome. But yeah, absolutely amazing, that bird. But yeah, so I'll look into Serins, but unless I can get, what I'd rather do is get a proven pair that's a year or two old, than two birds that are young, never been bred off, and pay a fortune for. You know what I mean? That's how I am at the moment, anyway. Here in Greece, I see Serins in winter months. Is it possible to hybridize Hawfinches? Do you mean with Serins? I don't think so. Nothing has happened with the Hawfinch ever hybridizing, but I think Chinese Hawfinch or evening grosbeak is the best bet. Coming down to that, it's probably a chaffinch. But it could, for all we could know, we could find out that actually it doesn't work, and it's like a chaffinch cock or a bullfinch cock. The male Hawfinch won't mate, can't fill eggs of anything else but female Hawfinch. But a female Hawfinch can be mated with and successfully by another species, and if that is the case, a chaffinch filling the eggs is not going to happen. Same for a bramble. So yeah, we might never know. We'll see. I'm going to try it at some point. We're going to have to breed some straight Hawfinches first. Seen online a fine spangled sport about breeding Serins and London Fancy. Yeah, I need to look into that. I heard about this with Serins and the London Fancy, which is interesting. I'll have a look. I gave them away. I can't believe Jane, you used to give this stuff away to me, mate. How did you give them away? They're brilliant. Oh, honestly, I don't know who's bred them, but like that's awesome. What a brilliant hybrid. That's so different. It's like more better than a siskin crossbill, and they're quite exciting. So yeah, I know a guy breeding dominant white canaries to Serins and got a couple of all white ones, but his cage door open and got 3. Oh my god, that's awful. Jesus Christ. It's always the case, isn't it? There's some where you get a really good bird or a really rare bird, and it always seems to be that one that goes somehow. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's gutting they all got away. But at least he kind of knows how we've bred them, so we could always try and recreate it. But it's one of those where he might have got lucky, and it might never be done again. You know what I mean? This is it where I want to try some bits like yeah, it's just gone off on my head at the moment. Twite, trying to get colour variants into twites using something like a I don't know. I think a red poll is probably the best one, but you want something that's closely related to a twite or maybe even a linnet. But obviously there's no colour variants in linnets to try and get maybe cinnamon into them or something, and that's the start of where you could get the ball rolling with them. This is an interesting one. So we've got those yellow agate opals that have bred what I believe is to be white agate opals. I'd like to try one of those with something like a red siskin and try and get a fertile one of those. And you've got like recessive white in there. You've got agate and you've got opal, and just see what the mules look like. It'd be interesting. Good evening. That is the best. What is the best red dye for mosaic canaries in order to obtain dark red colour, please? You need Carafil red, that's the best option. With another about 15 mules and other types, you still got the parents though, that's the good part. Oh yeah, thank God for that. Yeah, he definitely needs to make sure he can breed off them, but that's class if he's got some pure white ones, because if they're with Serin as well, you could get pure white Serins eventually down the line. Yeah, that'd be awesome. The chap who was on earlier having white greenfinches and like yellow beak greenies and all sorts of weird mutation greenies, they're brilliant. I'd love to see them in molt and stuff, because I've not seen them in the molt at the moment. I've only seen the young ones. Good evening, that is the best. London Fancy is an interesting bird with the history and things. How many people are successful breeding them and how many are there about? I don't know how many people have, I think there's more of them now than there has been obviously in recent years where they've been first recreated. I don't really know too much on them, to be honest. I think it's obviously it's a small group. It's a very exclusive group because you can't the best way of saying it is that if for example, if someone came to me and said, Ollie, do you want a pair of London Fancies? I'd probably ask them to say no, please keep them or give them to someone else who would be looking to develop them, because as much as I'd like to, I'd end up eventually using them probably as feeders, because my main birds are natives, not canaries. And I would sooner than go to someone who would be able to do more with them, establish them more, and do better things with them than me. If I had the room, if I had so much room and loads of time, and didn't have to try and work for a living, I would. If I could just have a load of room and I'd just have a shed of them, and just have that fun and try them. But I'd rather them go somewhere else. You know what I mean? So it's a very exclusive group. As for numbers, there's no numbers. It's not dwindling now. It's increasing every year, obviously, and I think they're still in development, where they're still getting those birds that are like these spangled ones, that are almost like just don't produce anything. Richard Northbury's London Fancy, yeah, exactly. So that's what I was thinking, Shane. Obviously, Richard's doing some fantastic work with the Londons. It's just one of those where I wouldn't want any, because they're just not the right type of bird for me, and I'd rather them be used correctly in a sense that they're going to be well established, and then maybe we get some if they're really well established. But yeah, obviously they've been extinct like 100 years or what. I think it was the early 1900s, and then obviously been recreated, let's say in the past 5 years or something. The episode Matt did with Richard was fantastic. So much information on the Londons. So if you want some more information on that, the Canary Room, visit to Richard Knowles. Absolutely awesome with the Londons. Good evening. Oh no, that's we've already gone through that one. Why don't you breed bigger type canaries? I can't. Obviously, we breed Norwich, which is one of the larger ones. I've been in contact with a guy who does Yorkshires, so we've got that option as well. I don't breed a lot of the bigger types, because they're generally harder to breed. Other than the Norwich, they're very difficult to breed. But out of the Norwich, I get the fun, because I do like the Norwich anyway as a breed. But I also like the interest with having them as a muling bird. And I'm going to look to try and get a quality pair of Norwich in now. Once we've had a sort out, looked at the new bird room, we're going to cut it down. I'll have a quick run through with you just for the sake of it. 5 pairs of greenies in the flights that we have them in now. So that's sorted. I'm hopefully, I'd like to bring in another pair from Shane or what of the greenies. Try and split the blood up now so it don't get too close and give us that diversity. Some of the youngsters are molting out. Absolutely awesome. We'll have to get them in a show cage in a few weeks' time, but they look superb, already. And in the molt, they look massive and good shaped birds and the good colour. So really looking forward to see how they molt out. So 5 pairs of greenies, between 4 to 6 pairs of red poles. I'd like 2 to 4 pairs of twice. We're going to say 5 or 6 pairs of mules and hybrids, pair of Hawfinches, and then probably 2 pairs of Norwich. Let's say 3 or 4 pairs of yellow agate opals, and then 3 or 4 pairs of feeders, and then that'll be it. We'll do. Of course, we're going to try maybe a red siskin pair, depending if we have the room. Goldfinch pair if we have the room and stuff. So we'll just have to see. But that's my overall idea. And with the feeders, I've got the pair I've got at the moment, which are the white and the red one. They're just awesome, and I'm going to try and use a lot of their youngsters for next year. I'm looking at putting probably one with a razor to decrease size, which I think will be useful for the feeding of sort of red poles and stuff. I'm looking at then trying to bring in another pair just to make sure we've got that sort of the whole line of them, but we've got further out, so we've got that mix. And yeah, we'll obviously have the Hawfinches as well. Yeah, the Hawfinches are okay, but after removing the eggs from the hen because they were clear, she was distressed for a few days. She weren't sure what was going on. Once she settled back down, I put the cockbird in, and she's not been much interested. So I think the Hawfinches are written off for this year now, which is a shame. She just doesn't seem interested anymore, and it's this is not a young hen we're talking about. I think she's 4 or 5. I think we'll get 3 years out of her now, but we need a new cockbird as a definite, otherwise we're never going to breed any off that pair. That male will not fill those eggs. She does not like him. We need a different male. So, you know, there's a couple of viewers of the channel who have Hawfinches in the UK. I know a couple of people. I'm going to try and get a male off them if I can, put it with her, and hopefully they click. So yeah, look guys, it's getting a little bit late now. Or well, okay, I say that it's quarter to 9, isn't it? Quarter to 10, isn't it? But obviously we've been on for a good 2 hours now. So hopefully you have enjoyed today. I'm going to look to do some more lives, of course, keep you all up to date with how things are getting on. Like I said, we're going to be doing a mix of videos now. So coming up on Saturday is going to be the Breeding British Birds episode again. This coming Tuesday, we've got a section of the Zoom room. We've done another episode. We're then going to do a species profile on greenies and breeding them. We're going to do a species profile on canaries and breeding them. And we've got a few splits up with that. When I go away this summer, there's going to be some videos coming from Greece, various Greek wildlife. I'm going to go and look for some flamingos, which is going to be fun. And some like I think it's short-toed falcons or eagles, or either way, there's going to be some really exciting stuff. Diving reefs, fishing, catching sharks, marlin, stuff like that. It's going to be good fun. But yeah, anyway, so hopefully you all have enjoyed today. So, really appreciate everyone who's come on. If anyone has donated via Super Chat, thank you so much. If I have missed it, I will see it at the end, don't worry. And I will, make contact with you. And just massive thank you for everyone who's supporting the channel. And obviously, let's try and get 10k before the end of the year. It should be good. And we'll see how we get on. So thanks, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.